I'm going to do this is going to be a short presentation, 7 or 8 slides, and after that I'm going to show you some videos. First I'm going to introduce the idea, what will the videos will show, and then I'll let you with the videos. So, okay. These are some reference customers. It doesn't mean that we have a lot of experience. It doesn't mean that we've done all sorts of projects around the world. What it means is that there are a lot of banks, and not only banks, but also other companies from other verticals, which are using different types of solutions in order to cater to their clients. Okay? There were many presentations right now of how corporate governance works and how to handle NPLs and so on. What I'm going to show you is a solution that is customer facing. So what do the banks, since we're in the banking event, what do the banks provide to their customers? How do they give them convenience while the bank benefiting from this? Okay? So these are some of the customers that are already in production, some of them for quite some time, for a few years already. So just a little bit of background. When we talk about e-signatures, because everything will be around e-signatures, in Europe there is a regulation. It's called the eIDAS. eIDAS is taking over the whole Europe and the whole world, actually. And there are countries like Turkey, for example, which is not part of the European Union, and which is adopting eIDAS. And I understand that even in Ukraine, there are some initiatives like this. I'm pretty sure the regulators know more about it. But under the eIDAS regulation, e-signatures are seen as simple, clicking on a button, advanced, one in which you authenticate somehow the signer, and qualified. Qualified signatures are based on qualified certificates. So somebody receives a personal certificate and they use this for signing. It's widely implemented everywhere. It's a PKI infrastructure. Now, eIDAS brings a little bit more to the table because now you can store that certificate in a remote scenario on an HSM so that you don't need to carry it with you all the time. How does the solution get used? Well, you can use it at the point of sales, so customers would come in the branches and would sign agreements. All sorts of agreements, onboarding documents, loan contracts, insurance forms, and so on. Secondly, an agent takes a mobile device and goes on the field to a company or another location, to a university, to onboard new clients. So they can sign remotely. Now, since most of the banks in parts of the world are closing their branches, actually closing is not the right word, they're redefining their branches in such a way that they're only providing consulting in those branches. Everybody's focusing on remote scenarios. How do you onboard customers remotely? How do you allow them to sign documents from wherever they are, on a beach in Brazil or at their home, doing a barbecue, whatever the case might be. So the third use case is external users to sign documents, to get authenticated, to get identified from wherever they are located and from whatever device they're using. And the fourth scenario, equally important, is internal signing processes. I spoke with somebody who was a manager in a company. It was a utilities company. And they said that only the vacation requests takes them days to process because people have to go into a room, take from stacks of paper, one paper, then give it to their direct manager and then to somebody higher and so on. So 3 signatures are sometimes needed. So just optimizing this flow was bringing them enough benefits to implement such e-signature solutions. Okay, here is some functionality provided by such solutions. You see here, initiate e-signing processes, terms and conditions, authentication, reading of documents, delegation of signing tasks, signature type selection, batch signing, qualified signatures, and signing on whatever device you have. I understand that Ukraine has already implemented GDPR, so such solutions are useful for getting the consent according to GDPR regulation from customers so that you make sure that if something happens, you always can prove at any given time that somebody gave their consent for capturing their data, for processing their data. Okay? When we talk about signatures and we talk about all types of signing scenarios. As I mentioned before, there are different use cases. Remember, it was point of sales, mobile sales, remote signing, and internal document signing. You can make use of a personal certificate, and you see here the most common use cases. Certificates on local devices like smart cards or USB tokens. I guess they're widely used in Ukraine nowadays. Remote certificates, the ones that are stored remotely on an HSM. Disposable certificates, some special certificates that have a short time validity, something like 1 hour. And there's some main use cases for qualified e-signatures. I'm not going to go into details on this one because you will get the presentation and then you can ask me any questions that you want. I want you to see the videos at the end. Okay, what does it happen when somebody signs? Well, there is a PDF created. This PDF includes all the information needed to prove who signed it, when it was signed, what happened during the signing process. This PDF is securely stored somewhere and it's protected so that it cannot be manipulated. Everybody gets a copy of the document, and the benefit of electronic documents is that there can be more than one original. So the client would have one original, the bank would have one original, and then the other third party that needs one will also have an original. Okay? But what happens when there is a customer that is new to bank? I mean, face-to-face identification works quite well. It's still done by everybody. But what happens when you need to identify a client at distance? So the e-signing solutions are complemented by identification tools, and these are becoming more and more used. So we have banks, for example, which started processes in which they want to give loans to clients that want to purchase goods. So we have one specific bank live already in 2 countries that is connecting to e-commerce platforms, and they were live in November last year, and now they already have 60 e-commerce platforms that work with them. So they provide loans to all their clients, the clients of these e-commerce platforms, 24/7. Okay? And they're using such an identification tool. It should not be confused with authentication. This is for new customers, new to bank. You don't know the client. You need to identify them in such a way that you can perform know your customer and anti-money laundering. So it's a complex scenario in which you go through several steps of the process. Everything is complemented by the signing, because they need to sign the onboarding documents or the contract or whatever they're getting, the loan contracts. And everything is, of course, legally binding.